You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, really excited about having a familiar friend, familiar voice to so many of you guys returning one more time for us, giving us the latest and greatest, a little checkup from the neck up, a little pulse on what's going on here with the good old Equip Expo. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, making his tour, making his rounds. I've been hearing your voice everywhere, brother. Mr. Kris Kiser, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Brian. You're such a pro at this. My God.
I love getting out with you because you're just such an easy person to talk to. You've got a background in business and I guess law, or even, right? For 20 or 30 years, you've been CEO for a long time. How do you get all this done, brother? Like
you're giving my age away.
Hey, I'm running around like a chicken with its head cut off over here, and how you make time for everything and make people feel so welcomed is a skill set in its own right. But welcome back to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. How you been the last couple of months, brother?
Good to be back. It's a busy time. Getting ready for the show, as you know, and it's a busy time. The show looks great. So some big changes coming up.
I love it. Well, if you guys are new here to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, just to slow down, to speed up, just want to say welcome to everything that is all things lawns, lessons, life. We're trying to give you guys the latest and greatest about what's going on in the industry, what's going on in my personal company, what's going on in the greater ecosystem of the social media community. And Kris Kiser, he is let me do this for you, Kris, because I'm going to butcher it. You have an accomplishment list that's probably about 2 or 3 paragraphs long, but we'll let folks know a little bit more about your background, where you're coming from, because you've got a great career, a very successful career under your belt. So go ahead, take it away.
Oh my gosh. By training, I'm a lawyer. After I finished law school, I was working for a politician, a guy who was a very senior House member, a congressman who was chairman of Foreign Affairs, Intelligence, Joint Economic. Through the course of his career, 36 years, he took me to Washington, D.C., spent 35 years there. A few years in Congress, and then I represented automakers, forced products, and then I joined OPEI 18 years ago. And
wow.
So it's been a great run. So I'm president of OPEI, its education arm, the Turf Fund Foundation, and of course, Equip Exposition. So
now, how did you get into the position taking control of the helm of Equip Expo, like you said, a handful of years ago? Because how does somebody move into that role? Because, I mean, obviously you had a background in everything you were just sharing, but you've been playing at a very high level. So is that like a communications background, just right place, right time? Like, how does your career evolve to that, if you don't mind me asking?
I did study communications in undergraduate, along with political science and government. So, and then a law degree. So, yeah, it's in that space. And I've been in the communications world in 3 different trade groups, international trade groups.
Okay.
And working for a politician for a lot of years. I mean, that's their
shaking hands and kissing babies.
They fly, right?
Yeah,
communication.
That's right. That's awesome. Well, hey, we're in a thick political season right now, man. It's crazy. I mean, I was talking to a friend the other day. What normally would be like one big event in an election cycle, I feel like we're having that about every 2 weeks. Just right? Different candidates. Assassination attempt, which was crazy. I mean, all these like 9/11 type moments. If you're a millennial or the alpha generation, whatever they're called these days, like this stuff is happening every 2 weeks. It's absolutely perplexing to me. Which instead of it being a once a year thing, so. You're probably better to be in the OPEI green industry space than the political space right now. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. Like I said, I moved to Louisville, as you know. So when we brought the show in house and decided to manage it ourselves 3 years ago, I moved to Louisville. I couldn't have been happier to leave Washington.
Wow.
Politics is a pretty rough and tumble business now.
Sure.
And, so I'm delighted to be calling Louisville home.
I love it. Well, let's do this really quick. We'll zoom out. We'll give folks that maybe are new to the show just a little bit of an update about the biggest trade show of the year. A lot of you guys that are listening to the show and regular listeners to the show, you guys have heard Kris before, and he's been making his rounds on some other great podcasts and interviews. He is the voice of the show, if you will. So it's really cool to hear from the horse's mouth, quote unquote, about all the latest and greatest. Kris, for anybody who's new to the show and anybody who maybe is just a casual observer and hasn't, maybe they're in the green industry, they've been cutting grass, doing landscaping for 2, 5, 10 years, but they've never really made the pilgrimage right down to Equip Expo and got to check it all out. Can you give me your best 2 minute? I always struggle to quantify Equip Expo. because you could go there for a week and not see everything. So what's your best way to communicate what this show is all about?
Listen, this is the industry's trade show. As you know, I call it a family reunion. The show is 41 years young. So this show has been going for 41 years for landscape contractors, dealers, et cetera. And it's been the biggest ever the past 3 years. And so it's still extraordinarily relevant. It's still a terrific return on your investment. It's a great learning experience. And we're listening to folks like you and your listeners about how to make the show better, what kind of education, what kind of training, what kind of certifications do you need and want, because you can see the equipment. And we're so unique in that we have 30 acres outdoors. You can literally get on the machines. And if it's wet, you're going to get wet. If it's dusty, you're going to get dusty. It's real world. But that's what we offer. And what you guys have also told us is we really like peer-to-peer opportunities. We want to socialize. We want to have a beer and a pretzel, get together. And that's where we talk about our businesses, where we really learn. And we do this in a big way. So this is becoming world-class. My board of directors, God love them, we go into our pocket in a big way for some of these big social events. We're renting Churchill Downs for the opening reception.
I saw that.
It's a cool place.
That's a pretty penny.
We're renting the Yum Center Arena, which is one of the finest in the country, for the Trace Atkins concert, which is free to attendees on Thursday night. Those are fantastic venues, great opportunities for our attendees to get together, talk, learn from one another. Happy hour with the Crashers at Freedom Hall. So our keynote with Kevin O'Connor, the host of This Old House, we're investing significantly in that. So our folks have a better experience. And that's the key. If you're going to come, plan and take some time. Make all 3 days. There's plenty to do, and we'll take care of you once you get here.
Well, I love what you just said. Make the investment. Take the time. If you guys are going to go, okay, level one, if you can only afford or time-wise, afford to go for 1 day, go on Thursday, whatever. Have a great time. Check it out. I get it. But if you really are going to make a career out of this thing, I would suggest that you prioritize it and make it a just like a standing obligation, a standing order, right? Hey, every fall we go to Equip Expo. My guys and I, my wife actually just planned a company outing. We did it last year as our team's growing. We're building the culture, building the team. And so this third week of September, we're going to have a personal company outing. And I told the guys, I said, hey, because we're trying to figure out dates, and the more, right now we either have too many chiefs, not enough Indians, or everybody's an Indian and nobody's a chief, because I'm just trying to be a leader by being a server. So I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to do? So we're throwing out dates. We're trying to figure this all out. And basically, we just said, look, we got to put a hard date on the calendar because nothing's going to work for everybody. So we said, hey, third week of September for my personal company's company outing. Well, I just said, now moving forward every year, let's just all know that the third week of September is when we do the annual company outing. So I would basically implore you guys for the same boat and have that same mentality moving forward for Equip Expo. Hey, it's usually the third week of October. Usually it's going to be in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's something that we make the investment regularly. We literally plan our finances. We put into our company's overhead. We budget. We bill for it to be able to go spend a couple grand to go down to Louisville, Kentucky that week and to go network with peers in the industry. Kris, let me ask you this. I wanted to ask, maybe just kind of shift gears a little bit here, talking about professional development, professional networking, because a lot of us have heard of us talk about Equip Expo. It's magnanimous. I mean, the amount of vendors and companies and exhibitors there, it's second to none. This is the Super Bowl of the green industry. And until you go, it's hard for us to literally give you the visual with words. I mean, you have to go just to check it out. But Kris, a lot of folks listening to the podcast, they're all about self-development. They're making investments into their education. What has been your experience over the last 20, 30 plus years at some pretty high level, companies, organizations, events? What is networking? What does networking mean to you, and what has it done for you in your career versus maybe just brute effort, or just credentials alone, right? What has networking done for you? Because that's, to me, what Equip Expo is all about.
It's made my career. I mean, that's how you've gotten ahead, certainly in my world. It's engaging with one another, learning from one another, others similarly situated. My job is I represent 120 competitors. That's the trade group, right? OPEI. My goal, I'm an arbitrator, consensus builder. You have to find commonality amongst competitors to deal with a problem, to find a solution, get them on a balance beam, and keep them there. So that's working with a lot of folks who have different opinions and different objectives, but to find commonality. And that's one of the things, we want to help landscape contractors and dealers and irrigation professionals and tree care professionals and hardscape professionals. Everybody in the business is interrelated. And this place has allowed us to do that. Again, we're 41 years young. I've been to 18 of these. I've met people that started out with, a pickup truck and a couple of mowers and are now $20 million people.
Right. Wow.
Because they've grown their business. We have a lot of folks, more than 50% of our attendees come year over year, which says a lot about the show. This year, again, we partner with Landscape Management, the Irrigation Association, the Pool and Spa Association, the H&A, the hardscaper folks. They put on their education. They listen to what our attendees want, and then they do that. Our attendees said, hey, we need certifications in applicator stuff, right? Fertilizer, pesticide. This year, we have a certification center. We have 5 states that are accepting our certs, and that's going to grow. And so we listen. And so when we survey or we talk to folks like you and your listeners, we want that feedback. What are we doing well? What can we do better? Now we're focusing on logistics. Look, we have 27,000 people to come.
That's crazy.
Not a public show.
That's a lot.
It's a business show. It's a lot. And so we want them to have a better experience and how to get in and out of the building, what gates to use, how do you prioritize your time and plan your time. And we want to get people knowing that the Kentucky Exposition Center is getting ready to do a big renovation, a big new build. It's going to reorient from the south to the north. And so there will be changes coming. And so we want it. And that's the reason we're still in Louisville. Louisville's big enough, small enough. It's a Goldilocks town. Is people come here year over year. They get comfortable. They know their way around. They know the neighborhoods. They know the restaurants. They know the social places to go. It's a good foodie kind of town.
Love it.
And so we're staying. We're in Louisville, but we stretch it.
Let me ask you this. Playing off of that, what if somebody in your career, your 30 plus years in professional development, and working as a CEO and all this other for real accomplishments that you've had under your belt, where are the peers? Where are your friends that have not plugged into this these networking events or opportunities? Let me rephrase this. One of the best lines I've ever heard was more business is done on the golf course than in the boardroom. And I don't know if that's true. I've heard that statement for a long time, but to me, there's definitely a lot of merit to it because anytime I go hang out with a lot of my friends, we're talking shop, we're talking business, and it's a lot of networking. Hey, do you know so-and-so and so-and-so know so-and-so? Yeah, you guys should link up. You exchange some phone numbers, you start emailing or calling somebody, and it starts opening up doors. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was a lawn landscaper, and I'm just going to be blunt with you guys, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, I can go out and do a leaf cleanup that day or that week, go make an extra $800. Sure, that's fine. Or I can go down to Louisville, make a bunch of friends, network with a bunch of folks who can help me network with other individuals and open up doors that turn into 6 figures or more. Like, to me, that's the investment. Yes, you get the equipment. Yes, you get to meet your peers and, of course, get to hang out with a bunch of social media friends and, celebrities, I always call them. Celebrity divas sometimes even, myself included, right? But it's the networking that allows you these other great opportunities. But some folks always say, Kris, like, well, they get all the breaks. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but those folks are always constantly putting themselves out there and exchanging business cards, exchanging phone numbers, having the fun conversations, having the tough conversations, having the awkward conversations. But at least they're having those conversations. Like, in your experience, could you talk about that for a minute? Like, what is networking? Again, like, that's how I quantify it.
Well, you're hitting it. That's exactly how it works. And so so when you're here and your hotel's full, your hotel's likely going to be full, and likely everybody in that hotel is going to be at Equip. So when you're in the elevator riding down, everybody in that elevator is likely to get Equip. Same thing for hotel restaurants, big restaurants. When I used to come here before I moved to Louisville, and I'd fly in, the day before, my airplane was full of Equip people.
Sure.
Right? And so I've sat next to a couple big time landscape contractors just by default because they're on that airplane.
Right.
And I learned a lot. How's your business? What are the things that are challenging to you? Why are you coming to Louisville? Why are you here? And I've learned so much. And me, I walk around like you. I walk around the show. I just stop people. I talk to people. What I'm also learning is that there is this trend now to bring a team, bring a number of people from your company, because it's a combination of business, social, learning, and experience. It's experiential. And so that team becomes more connected, more integrated. They learn together, they experience together, and they develop as a management team. And one of the unique things when you go to the Toro booth, the CEO is likely there. The chief salesperson, the chief engineer, the chief development folks. It's not just a bunch of salespeople.
Right.
The people that come here will tell you how the software works. They'll show you why this change was made in the safety standard to change this particular guard. Why? And if you have a question, well, I have this unit, but I see the new one is this. Why? Well, here's the chief engineer. And he's standing right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the great things about the way this show has evolved. Because we have a board of directors meeting here. I have 14 CEOs here during that. They all go down to the floor. So the leadership is here. The engineering is here. The salespeople are here. The dealers are here. That's one of the unique things about this show, which is so true.
You know, Kris, it's so good to hear that from somebody that's a little bit further down the path of life and success than myself, because I'm still a student of all this, of course, and I'm trying to learn too, and one thing that, we were just saying, it really struck me was, a couple years ago, Nike had that campaign, Get Noticed. And, I remember that campaign. That was a solid campaign. Whoever did that, they should get a raise. But and I'm thinking to myself, like, level one, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you're a part of. You got to go to Equip Expo so you can check it out. You guys have heard that message, okay? But number two, like, Equip Expo doesn't, quote unquote, know you. Like, you have to get noticed. And folks are saying, well, like, I never get the deals, or I never get the breaks, or I don't know anybody. Well, brother, like, you have to plug in. And then once you're there, you have to be good at networking. You have to make friends, because then those folks know you and they start looking for you. Right in the beginning, you don't know anybody. You know what I'm saying, Kris? You're you can be a wallflower all you want, but this is why we tell folks you have to get engaged. You have to go shake hands. Like you said, a great analogy. You're in the elevator, at the Galt House. Somebody's got a Toro booth or Toro shirt on. You say, hey, so work for Toro? Yeah, I do. What do you do there? Oh, I'm the senior engineer of the Multiforce platform. I have a Multiforce. No kid. We're looking to do some product testing, make a couple changes. Where do you live? Oh, I'm in the north. I'm in Michigan. We're actually looking for folks in cold weather grass, cool weather season, like, and then all of a sudden something's happening. Whether you get a machine or it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is now you're building a relationship with Toro. Now you're building a relationship with this individual. You're building a relationship with your distributor. You're building a relationship with your dealer. And now they know you. And again, like, you got to get noticed. And this is where you go to get noticed. And this is why you wheel and deal. This is why you shake hands. This is why you get to know folks. The cliche line, right, Kris? Your net worth is your network. Like, this is why you go. Kris, do you have anything to add on that? Because I have one other quick question for you, but I want to leave that. That's such a loaded topic.
I just literally call it a family reunion. I see year over year over year people returning. I see them once a year. And it said, hey, how you doing? How's your year been? Well, we didn't get any snow. Or, oh, it's this, or, oh, it's that. And that's what I like, is you've had a year of experiences. You've had a year since the last show.
Sure.
So what's new this year? Where did you move? Every year we've gotten bigger. So we sold out again this year. We had to move some stuff around. Well, where are the dogs this year? Well, now they're going to be in the West Wing. What did you do? The new product showcase is over here. So there are always some transition elements, and there's some changes. There's some new product. Well, what's new this year? Well, I can tell you there's a couple things over in so-and-so's booth. That's the fun part of it.
Love it.
Last year I was standing kind of in a corner and somebody said, well, I wish I knew where such, and I'm like, well, that's right there. I pointed. I said, that's Dan Aarons, that's the CEO of Aarons. That's Rick Olson, that's the CEO of Toro. And there's Ed Wright. But hi, Ed, this is so-and-so, the CEO of Wright Manufacturing. And they're couldn't be happier to shake your hand. They are the most approachable folks on the planet, of executive leadership. That's why I love this business. That's why I've stayed in this business. It's a terrific group of people. And like you said, if you'll just step outside your comfort zone, start that conversation, when you're at the breakfast buffet or you're in the elevator lobby, because those people are just like you. They're going to be similarly situated, and they're at the same show. Again, especially if you're a first timer, don't make this a one-day show.
Right.
Don't do that. And people don't know what 1.2 million square feet is. 30 acres. I mean, acres, but it's a big physical show.
Yeah. I've been going for 5, 6, 7 years. I still haven't seen the whole show the first time. So I'm still making my loops like a centipede going through there, I have one other question for you. Let me quantify this really quick. We did these spring shop tour series. A lot of you guys love those. The podcast, the YouTube videos. We did one with Hidden Creek, Jason Cromley, Columbus, Ohio. Magnificent setup. Amazing folks, amazing people, amazing individual. The week before, I emailed a friend of mine, Mark Bradley, CEO of LMN, and I said, hey, I know Hidden Creek's CEO and founder. I said, would you mind making an introduction to me or for me to be able to go do a shop tour? This guy's got a $25 million company. It's as much as some people think, like we got the red bat phone, and the Oval Office, like to the president. Like that's not how it works here. So I'm like, hey, is there any way you can make me an introduction? Well, he goes, no problem. I'm actually going to be there next week. They're doing an open house and a big team meeting. There's going to be 250 people there. Why don't you come on down and we'll film a tour? And I said, if you're in, I'm in. I will be there. You call, we haul. So I go on down there. I meet Jason, opens up, keys to the city, gives us everything, a podcast, a YouTube video. There's 200 people there pulling on his time and attention, gives us the time of day, amazing individual. Folks, 7, 8, 9 days ago, I didn't know him. He didn't know me, at that time. And because Mark Bradley opened up that door, we had one of our best videos and best podcast interviews ever. I'll never forget the stuff that he shared on his podcast. It was phenomenal. That came from networking. That came from me, getting out of my comfort zone, asking a friend of mine, hey, could you do me a favor? Would you make an introduction? Absolutely. Would love to. Let's do it. That's how we all went and learn and grow together. I was able to do some great stuff for the Hidden Creek folks with Social and Coastal and some other great brands. And it was just, I always say, Chris, one hand washes each other. They all wash the face. Like that's how it kind of works. That's my analogy for networking. But it was such a rewarding experience. And again, that just came from putting yourself out there. Kris, final question I have for you, and hopefully this you can give some latitude on this one. I feel like you have a really good pulse on people, communication. You're in a very high profile spot. You've networked and talked to, I would imagine, probably 6 figures worth of people, 100,000 worth of people, millions of people maybe over your 20, 30, 40 years in service. Can you talk to me, like, what is it? Like, I feel like we're spiritual creatures, right? We're spiritual beings. Like, we need to associate. We need to get around folks. And as the economy is kind of squeezing people, we're in a very tumultuous political climate, good, bad, or ugly. It is just challenging. There's a lot of change, a lot of uncertainty, economic, political, a little this, a little that. Like, I've found, and I was just talking about this on a live stream we did with some friends last night, like, we crave network, and we crave association, we crave proximity. I feel just as a creature, as a spiritual being, in my opinion. Like, do you believe that there's some power that's in networking and getting around each other in physical versus just watching the audio replay or the video replay or a webinar? I think there's an intrinsic element there to coming to Equip Expo that, like, you get around this energy, this esprit de corps, this. I don't know if it's spiritual, brother, but it feels good, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, do you believe in that, or how does that?
Oh my God, of course I do.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely, it's the human experience, right? And we're like canines, why we're so connected. We're pack animals. We need that socialization. We need to be with one another. Again, that's why I continue to call it a family reunion. And I do believe, I come from a political background, we're weary of the tribalism and the anger and a rising tide lifts all ship. And so hopefully Equip Exposition is kind of the mothership for the business, right, where we can all come together. We put all that aside, and we do those things with one another to better one another. The business wants to have successful landscapers. The landscapers want successful machine companies. And there's a diversity. We have people from all 50 states and 46 countries. People come here from Guam and New Zealand. There is something special here. We're 41 years young. You don't see that in a lot of annual shows. So, and it's growing. And so I couldn't agree with you more, is that the human experience is one that we all need to put aside your politics, put aside this tribalism. Come and have a good time, help your business, expose your team, develop your team, spend some time with one another at the happy hour on site. Have a beer and a brat kind of thing. And so, no, we want to evolve that. We're building a world-class event. I couldn't agree with you more, is take the opportunity to be with one another, learn from one another, and frankly, just have a good time.
Yeah. I always say, like, when you get there in person, you feel elevated. At least that's my experience. You just feel charged up. You feel like this is right. This feels good. This feels like where I need to be. And
it's a happy place. It's a happy place
for sure. And folks, I know there's a couple different camps out there, right? Like, you've been to Equip. Am I going to go back this year? You need that. You need that plug-in. You need that recharge. You need that boost. I know I do. Another one, for example, is when you're out there. Hey, I've never been. Well, you don't know what you don't know, so it's hard for us to quantify a feeling experience with words sometimes. I always say, like, it's like going to the concert versus listening to the CD. Like, entirely different concert. You're like, oh, then so-and-so came out, and then he did this solo, and then this guy came, and then something happened in the crowd, and then this happened. And you're like, oh my God. Like, you're missing out. And for me, I'm a big FOMO kind of guy, Kris. So I have to go back, and I don't want to miss anything. So that's why an element of why I keep going year over year over year. But for me personally, it's getting around my friends and realizing these are the folks I'm going to be doing life with, both at the company level, at the companies, the peers that have businesses as well. I see guys growing year over year over year. Some of these kids, I met them when they're 13, 14, at a booth.
Exactly.
Quote unquote booth takeover. Now they're 18, 19, 20, and they're coming in there with 3 guys. They're doing $400,000. They got 2 crews. And it's like, folks, we're all on this ship together, if you will. And so you can choose to just be an island onto yourself, and you're going to get what you get. Or you can learn to plug in and realize the value of those friendships, those relationships, that networking, and really, number one, plug into it. But then number 2, learn how to leverage that and make that work for you. Because I whether you like it or not, there's so much truth to it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I always tell people, folks, on my podcast, Kris, a long time ago, I knew nothing and I knew nobody, and my income was very, very small. And the more I get to know people and the more I get to know things, my income has risen. Shocker, right? So I'll give you the final thoughts. You can land the plane. We super appreciate your time on all this, but I wanted to get, like, you have a macro perspective. So yeah, we can talk about, hey, there's another company there and they got another awesome booth. And I know that's true and that's going to be good. But, I respect more of your accomplishments as a leader, as somebody who's a consensus builder. I love what you said there. And that's stuff that I think a lot of folks listening to the show are aspiring to attain and emulate as well. So thank you.
I leave you with this. The other thing I see a lot is so many landscape concrete companies are family businesses. They're family held, right? The wife, the kids, and the people are bringing their kids who are going to go into the business. They're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. And they're introducing them to the business at scale. Here is, and they can get on, if you're 16, you can get on your first stand-on or your first zero turn or your first whatever, if it's not driven in the family yard. Is that experience is where you're introducing your children to the depth and breadth of the business and education and classes and your shows, right? The things we put on, that the podcasters put on, extraordinary energy so that they can see that interaction. And I've met, the 15-year-old who is now 25 and is a principal in the business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Kris. That's one of the reasons why we go every year. We plug in. We can't wait to hang out with everybody, of course. It's going to be such a good time. Folks, if you have not made the decision to go, you can still plug in. You can still get tickets. I think today, or within the next 24 hours, if we time this podcast correctly, September 5th, I think it is, right, Kris?
You bet.
Yeah, that is the last time to get your early bird registration at the current price of like $30, whatever it is. And then I think our discount code even saves you 50% off of that. So use promo code Brian. Use somebody's code, for crying out loud. If you want to use ours, fantastic. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support. But folks, outside of the code and all that mess, I can't wait to see you there. There's so many folks that I have seen 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a row. I've seen guys like my friend Mitchell Gordy. I met him 6, 7 years. On the last day, the last half hour, he had a big pink shirt on. Let you guys know he's got his Cure for Cancer type T-shirt on. And I saw him from Instagram. I didn't know him from Adam. And I said, "Hey, you're Mitchell Gordy from Instagram." He goes, "Yeah." And he's this big dude, Kris. I don't know if you've ever met Mitchell, but he's a state trooper. Not a cop. He's a state trooper, and but a big old boy. And I said, I know you from Instagram, and we've made a friendship that's turned into a relationship. He's an amazing individual. And I've known Mitchell now and his friend, Tyler Dixon for 6, 7, 8 years now. Like, those relationships have paid dividends for both of us. Okay. So,
for sure.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't made the decision to go, give it a solid, shake, give it an evaluation. I think it's a great return on your investment. Of course, what you put into it, what you're going to get out of it. Very easily located. Take a couple days. Last thing I always say is you've been pouring it out all year, solving everybody else's problems. For the love of God, take a couple days or at least a day or two and fill your cup back up. Like, you have got to take care of you first. They always say on the airplane, put your mask on first, then put the person's mask on next to you. Like, this is a time for you to get refilled, recharge. And that way you can go into fall, winter, have your second wind, get ready to, disassemble and reassemble your business as you want to take all the exciting education from Equip and apply it into your business. Like, that's where you get to really start to work on the company, not just in the company in the fall. Okay. So that's all I got. EquipExposition.com. Get your tickets, get the information, get the lay of the land. My younger brother just booked their hotel. They're excited about coming down with the brand that they get to represent, which is awesome. So that's all I got. Kris, thank you for taking time to be on the show today. Thank you again, for real. I know you get this a lot, but we really do say thank you. We do really appreciate this. Thanks for making a fun environment for us all to plug into and to take from, quote unquote. We thank you for all the stuff that you guys are putting together over there at the Equip Expo team.
Oh, thanks, man. Ditto to you. Appreciate your help.
You bet, brother. All right, guys. Well, we'll button it up right here. Thanks. Thank you guys so much for listening. Oh, you have one more thing, Kris? Are you good?
I'm good. Download the app. Look, we want to help you get it around. Download the app. Every masterful job at showing you what garages to get into. That'll take you immediately into sort of the Yum Center. We want to help you. So download the app. It's significantly improved this year.
There you go. All right. Well, I'm going to make sure we'll check that out. And by the way, I always earmark all the booths that I want to visit. That way I get my short top 10 list, and then I can go centipede up and down all the aisles and go get lost and go get that pretzel you're talking about. So I love it. All right. Well, cool deal. Well, guys, we'll land the plane right there. Thanks so much for listening. Again, if you guys want to get your ticket, make sure you guys check the link in the description. We'll have that available for you. And for real, we can't wait to see you guys all there. I'll be putting my schedule out on Instagram here in the next couple of weeks, and we can't wait to see you guys all down in Louisville, Kentucky. All right, guys. Over and out for this podcast episode. We will catch up with all of you guys here on the next one. If you guys are enjoying today's podcast episode and getting some great value out of the podcast from the guests, myself, and everybody that's contributing and sharing, I wanted to invite you guys to check out another platform and another medium that we have going out there called the Brian's Lawn Maintenance YouTube channel. Got over 200,000 subscribers there and running about 1 million views a month, which is absolutely crazy. And folks, that's where we're doing all of our product reviews, day in the life vlogging, how-tos, and so much more. We'd love to have your guys' support over there. If you guys haven't checked it out recently, I invite you guys to head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the Brian's Lawn Maintenance YouTube channel. We super appreciate that support. We've got new videos dropping there every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as well, so we can't wait to have you guys there and check out all the fun content and actually see the visual behind all the audio from the podcast, right? All the excitement going on in the Brian's Lawn Maintenance blogosphere. So that being said, appreciate you guys listening in. Why don't you guys come check it out and come give us a watch, and we hope to see you guys there.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.